Today is International Women's Day, a day dedicated to recognizing the achievements of women, raising awareness against bias and acting in support of equity. This year's theme, Embrace Equity, is especially important as it calls attention to why we need both equity and equity to advance women. Gugu Kwinda is a fleet manager with Bridgestone and Super Quick and joins us to talk about how she has embraced equity, or the organization the industry she works in has embraced equity, and to tell us more about her journey. Gugu, thank you so much for joining us here in studio today. If you could perhaps start by giving us just a short history of how you ended up being a fleet manager in such a male-dominated industry.
Thank you for having me. How I ended up being in this current position that I'm in is that I started off as a graduate, and that's the only reason, because it was at that time at the end of university, applying to different companies. I explored banking, and then I found myself in the automotive industry via fuel, and hence now I end up in the tire and fitment space.
And did you find that right from the start, especially as a young graduate, that when you ended up in the industry, first with fuel and then in this side of the industry, did it hit you that it was quite a male-dominated space?
It did initially, because you walk into a room and as in the young graduate space, there's equal amount of male and females, but once you get into the office and you start going out there, especially with retail and franchising, most of the franchisees are males who've been in the industry, or who've had their businesses for decades, and very, very set in their ways, and believe in certain things, have certain belief systems. So it was a very difficult space to sort of find your grounding. But I found I had great mentors, and also the structures where I worked, the businesses where I worked, were very supportive and offered me a lot of leeway to sort of find my feet.
And that's very, very encouraging that you did find yourself in a space where you had that kind of support. But then from a personal point of view, what was your approach when, for instance, you had to deal with a franchise owner that was very set in his ways, and we're dealing with cars and petrol and fuel and tires? What do you know, young lady? How did you approach that from a personal point of view, in terms of your personality and how you set about working your way around those kinds of personalities?
Well, there were quite a few instances where you have someone who is beyond 50 and telling you as a young 20-something-year-old,
a young black female
20-something-year-old, in the middle of the Free State or the Northwest. I used to work in Delareyville, where you'd walk into a room and they start speaking to you in Afrikaans, and you'd say, okay, I will answer you in English, and you start building those, not out of rudeness, but because it's the language I'm most comfortable in, and I understand that you're most comfortable in speaking your language. However, let's reach a compromise. And it's about building the rapport and building relationships, and also when you have to stand your ground when you feel that you are not being treated respectfully. So it's I always give people the respect they deserve. I'm not going to not respect you because of your position, but I'll respect you because of your humanity. And always looking at a person from the point of your humanity. We're all human. Let's start from that point, and then we go and we talk about what are we here to do. We're here to do business. How can I help grow your business? And also we learn from each other. I'm always open to learning. Just because I'm young doesn't mean that I can't teach you anything.
And that my lived experience can't be reflected by yours.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know where that value system comes from. Does that come from home or your family, or how you were brought up? And then on top of that, when you decided to go into this industry, being a graduate, having studied, I'm sure you were the apple of the family's eye, having succeeded the way you did, were there question marks about the path you decided on career-wise?
My family, fortunately, has been very supportive. I have a very supportive mother who says, she's always with me, and she says, whatever you want to do, I will support you. So that I'm very fortunate in that regard. And it does come from the background in terms of, I think everything has shaped me, from my schooling, my family. My mother is someone who she embraces people. She's given me that value to say, whoever anyone is, treat them with whether they're cleaning, whether they are cleaning the streets, or whether they're a CEO, treat them with the same level of respect, because we're all people and we all deserve to be recognized and to be seen.
Yeah, I think your mother and my mother are in the same WhatsApp group. We're very lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
Have you seen, however, any improvement over the years? You're not the young 20-something anymore. You've been there, done that, burnt the various jackets and T-shirts. Have you seen some improvement in terms of how the industry and changed in how welcoming it is to women coming into the industry?
There is progress, albeit very slow. There is progress. And on the corporate level, there's quite significant progress because looking at my team, I mean, our leadership team is actually 50% female. And it's quite representative because it's very diverse. It's females and males of all races are represented. And yeah, so I feel there has been that change. However, it's difficult to, it's going to take some doing to change people who've had their businesses, and these are family businesses, as much as they franchises, they're family businesses for over 40 years, some of them, because, I mean, the Thai industry has been around in South Africa for almost 90 years. Bridgestone has been around
and on top of that, it's a business that services a clientele that is extremely diverse. Is there an understanding that not just the need for equity and representation, but embracing that equity also makes business sense because it means you have more voices that are giving you an idea of how to appeal to a very important part of your business market?
That is something that our network is embracing. It's something that we are embracing as a business, and we're doing a lot of work around that, you know, how important it is to be more representative, because as a customer, I'd also like to see myself in the brand that I'm going to buy from, and it's part of sustainability. And that's the conversation we're having right now.
And it's also part of creating a space where women feel comfortable and not awkward, because often those are spaces that we don't feel the most comfortable in, or you need to find a brother or a partner or a husband or an uncle to go with you so that you don't get taken advantage of. That's also part of making spaces more diverse, isn't it?
It is because you know, we've actually looked at our corporate identity and want to make our stores ones where women can feel comfortable walking into on their own, where you don't need that male figure walking in just because it's uncomfortable and you feel it's a dirty, rugged space. So we're working on that.
That being said, you obviously have been in business for a while now. There are those coming in that might look to you. You said you had great mentors. Are you ready to be a mentor to young women coming into the industry? And if you could, what are some of the main things? What is the first pieces of advice you would give them from what you've learned in your journey?
The first pieces of advice I would say is trust your instinct, and also just because it's male dominated doesn't mean that you have to lose your femininity. You can use your femininity as something very powerful. It's something that will actually stand you in good stead going forward. And find people. There's always people. I know sometimes it feels like a lonely journey, but there's always people. Find those spaces. It's difficult and it would take time. Find those spaces where you can be heard, and where your whatever questions you have can be answered, because we're people, and in any space you can only grow by other people, and relationships are very important. So read a lot, keep abreast of the trends, keep abreast of the knowledge, but find people who you can lean on.
Gugu, you're a fleet manager now. What are your plans and goals for the future?
Oh,
I mean, your superior might be watching.
Yeah, I know. She probably is watching it.
Oh,
and she is watching. That's another thing that's changed since I joined the industry. When I joined the industry, I had a male boss and have had more male bosses than female bosses. But my current superior is actually female, and that's another way we're becoming more representative.
You still haven't answered my question.
Yes.
Where are we going to see Gugu in 10, 15 years' time?
10, 15 years' time, I want to be able to make an impact, not just an impact in the industry, not just an impact in the workplace, but make an impact in our society, and make an impact on future generations, to say, this is our country, we love it, and we want to see it grow, and we want to see it, we want to be home. We want to feel the feeling of home without feeling discomfort and angst. Yeah,
and we want to see all of our industries thrive.
We want to see all of our industries thrive, and all of all of our little industries, all of our households, you know, without the pressures that we're feeling, because there's a lot of socioeconomic pressures currently. So I just want to see good in this country, and I want to see it work and turn around.
And so say all of us. Thank you so much. Gugu Kwinda is a fleet manager at Bridgestone and super quick, speaking to us today on International Women's Day, #EmbraceEquity. A lovely sharing and hearing about your personal journey, Gugu. Thank you so much for coming in this afternoon.